Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at another one of the move updates from the Season 21 balance patch, and that is the buff to Morpeko. Morpeko was already one of the deadliest sweepers in the Open Great League. It cannot take a hit whatsoever, but with Aura Wheel being a massively powerful move with a guaranteed attack boost, this thing was already quite a threat. And now this season, it gets extra damage to Thundershock, going from 3 base damage to 4, making Morpeko just a little bit more deadly. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and take a look at Morpeko, but now with more fast move pressure. Hopping into the first match, leading Superior into Clefable. Clefable, a Pokemon I haven't seen in quite some time, and Clefable is going to win the CMP tie over Superior. The last second shield pays off as the opponent does not bait. They went for the hard-hitting Moonblast. Frenzy Plant fired in response is going to be no-shielded by my opponent. They're now going to save switch into Clodsire, and I am just going to stay in here with Superior and look to get some valuable chip damage with Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant should put it pretty close to Surf range. Opponent not going to let that happen, as they will commit the shield, and in comes Bibarel. Now, on this team, Bibarel is going to be the safe switch. With a safe switch Bibarel, I think that running Return is very viable. I just didn't want to use the Stardust to build my Return one, but I do think at a team like this, Return could be very solid. Opponent actually undertaps the move there. Again, these are early days, so we will see some opponents make some misplays with timing and whatnot. Here, the opponent is going to try for a Surf catch onto Feraligatr, but I'm able to hold on to my energy, land a Hyper Fang. I build up to the Surf and get the catch, saving that Surf for later and catching the Hydro Cannon back onto Superior. Superior is going to get a very nice Vine Whip farm down, exiting with quite a lot of energy. Back in comes the Clodsire, and Clodsire is going to take significant damage from Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant is going to land, and it's a CMP tie as well. That is absolutely terrific. Sludge Bomb picks up the KO, and now I can just bring in Morpeko. Opponent is going to send in Clefable, but Clefable is nowhere close to a Moonblast, so Psychic Fangs will deliver a knockout. I now switch into the Hangry form. Back in comes the Clodsire, and Clodsire, it's just not going to be able to survive from here. The Psychic Fangs picks up the KO, and we're able to take the win. Hopping into the next match, bad lead Superior into Drapion. It is a regular Drapion, which is a bit of a surprise. I send in Bibarel, opponent throws on 6, so they throw on very good timing here, understanding that I am 1 turn delayed. The Crunch is going to land, and now they're going to bring in Morpeko. Morpeko is going to get absolutely smacked with a Hyper Fang, so the opponent is going to commit the shield. They have to throw here, because if they try and farm down, I make another Hyper Fang. I have a pretty high rank Bibarel, so I am barely able to hang on and actually force the second shield from my opponent. And now that I have a 2-0 shield advantage, this game is basically just over, as Morpeko is pretty much going to beat everything in the game with this kind of advantage. I will have to give up one of my shields, as they will fire off the Dark Aura Wheel, and my defense has already been debuffed, but I'm going to make it to the Frenzy Plant before they can make another move. Frenzy Plant will KO, and now I'm just fully trusting in Morpeko and its ability to sweep. Drapion is going to be staying in here to fire off an Aqua Tail. I am going to commit the shield. Oh, they actually go for a Sludge Bomb, and in the back is Dugong, and oh no, this is just all over. Firing off the Aura Wheel, that's a one-hit KO. I'm now boosted, which means that I can very comfortably KO with the Dark Aura Wheel. Boosted Thundershocks really add up. Like, that was where I honestly noticed the biggest difference, is after you get the boost, you really notice the increased base damage. Superior versus Clodsire in the next match. I'm going to save switch into Bibarel. If they have Sludge Bomb, they can throw instantly, and it will be on good timing, and that's exactly what they're going to do, as this does get some very valuable chip damage, and now my opponent is going to bring in their own Bibarel. Now, they will have to undertap here. If they try and go for one more, then it comes down to a CMP tie, and the opponent is not going to let that happen. So I'm just going to let this go, and instead go for farm on Superior. Switch advantage honestly doesn't help me a ton versus Clodsire with this team. Instead, I would rather go for an energy advantage, because I'm basically full health, but now I have an entire Frenzy Plant loaded, whereas my opponent had thrown all their energy onto the Bibarel. Frenzy Plant is going to be shielded, opponent looking to preserve their Clodsire early, but I have another Frenzy Plant ready and waiting to go. That's going to do some pretty significant damage, and from here, I'm just going to let this go and trust in Morpeko. Opponent, Sludge Bomb barely does not KO, in comes Morpeko. They are just outside of Psychic Fang's range, but it is pretty close. Earthquake is going to be shielded. Opponent did actually go for the full send there. I'm going for the Psychic Fangs. Even if they do survive this, I'm more than happy just to shield. Opponent ends up shielding. And that kind of just instantly ends the game for them, unfortunately, because now their defense is debuffed. They're going to be in quite a bit of trouble. I'm farming up, and I'm going for the Dark Aura Wheel because I want to exit this matchup +1 attack. The Aura Wheel is going to KO. I switch back to the Electric form, and it's Mandibuzz in the back. And now, I mean, this is a +1 Electric Aura Wheel. I don't care that you're a Mandibuzz, you're getting one shot. Morpeko is just so much fun to run this season. It was already an absolute blast last season, and now it's just even better. Next match, a superior lead, and this time, in a rare turn of events, I actually win a CMP tie in a superior mirror. Like, if you look at my IVs, have a very high rank superior. I think it's in the top 30, so I was very surprised to win it. Opponent makes a nice catch here, as they're able to catch an Aerial Ace onto the Dunsparce. That's honestly very well played by my opponent, and having a rollout user behind a superior is usually a pretty safe team composition. As you see, I have a normal type rollout user myself in the back with the Bibarel. I'm able to land the Frenzy Plant, get the switch, the catch, and the sneak onto Bibarel, catching the Rock Slide, so I'm able to make my opponent use energy inefficiently. Now they're going to be firing off a Drill Run now. Drill Run's still not going to be lethal, and if I don't KO in 3 rollouts here, which I barely do not, I am forced to go for a Surf, as this is a CMP tie. The Surf is going to be able to pick up the knockout, opponent sending back in the Superior, and here I believe they did actually get the 1-turn bring-in lag, which is unfortunate. They should have been able to outpace, but it ends up being a CMP tie, which is a little rough. But even if they did fire off the move and KO me, I could have just trusted in Morpeko in the endgame, and their third was Bibarel. So regardless, that game probably still would have been a win. As we move into the next match, we see Bibarel once again, and they're staying in. Superior versus Bibarel. Bibarel, if they try and go for good timing, I can outpace, so they just throw on alignment. Hyper Fang does do quite a lot of damage. Bibarel is just a very, very strong mon in the Open Grey League. As you see, I mean, even in a bad matchup, it basically got my superior into the red. In comes a Starmie, so they are running so weak to grass. I'm going to force the shield, and now I'm going to pivot out into my own Bibarel, because if they have one of these Pokemon, that is going to be like a Mud Slapper, a Grass, or a Fighter. I need to bait it out. They're on Thunder on the Starmie. I am so happy I shielded. I was shielding just expecting it was going to be a Power Gem, but a Thunder, oh my goodness. Unfortunately for them, Bibarel is going to make Hyper Fang number 2. Hyper Fang is going to KO the Starmie. And in the back, they have Gliscor. Gliscor is going to fire off energy before I make it to the Surf. Now, I could shield and click Surf, but where's the fun in that? This is a Morpeko showcase. So now we'll get to see what Morpeko can do up against Gliscor. And genuinely, Gliscor is not that good into Morpeko, which seems very weird to say because, of course, it's hitting for super effective damage with Sand Attack. But realistically, to do any charge move pressure, you have to get all the way up to an Earthquake, and in that time, I can make a Psychic Fangs to change my Aura Wheel's typing, and then go for the Aura Wheel into their -1 defense and pick up a very easy KO. Moving to the next match, terrible lead, Superior into Ariados. I'm going to save switch into Bibarel, opponent staying in this matchup, and they throw on alignment. They end up giving me an entire rollout for free. They go for a lunge. I can survive that, but now I'm debuffed. In comes Hisuian Electrode. What is this thing doing here? I'm going to fire off the debuffed Hyper Fang. That does quite a lot of damage. I think Hyper Fang number 2 might actually KO here. Going for the Hyper Fang. Electrode is going to let that go. They get the damage registration error. That rollout would have KO'd, but they actually get the charge move there. My fast move damage didn't register, and in the back, it's Diggersby. And unfortunately, this is just going to be a lost game. If I got that farm down, I could have potentially been in a better spot, but unfortunately, my opponent getting the damage registration error there, they were able to KO the Bibarel, and from here, not having switch advantage, this game is just over. Ariados into Superior. I mean, I have an energy lead with the Superior since the opponent was not the fastest at switching out, but they're going to be able to force my final shield, and once they do, they just don't have to shield the Ariados anymore, because they know that their Diggersby up a shield will be able to sweep this endgame. I'm very heavily debuffed. I can go for the Aerial Ace. They can just let that go. And this is just winning for them with the Diggersby. I switch into the Morpeko, attempting to, try and make some kind of play, but it's just not going to happen. They're going to go for the Scorching Sands to deliver the knockout there. And man, it was always going to be a tough team comp for me, but that damage registration error mid-game was very unfortunate. We move to the next match. Much better lead. Superior into Shadow Golurk. Shadow Golurk staying in. They're now going to switch out into Ferrothorn. And I'll be honest, I didn't know what to do. I had never seen a Ferrothorn save switch before. I end up panic switching in Morpeko. This is a terrible idea. Do not panic switch in Morpeko. I could have just stayed in with the Superior because odds are if they're save switching it, it's probably on Thunder. But instead, I panic. I switch in Morpeko. And I'm just absolutely selling in this match. Oh my goodness. I overfarm as much as I can, going for the Dark Aura Wheel, but the opponent, they're just going to shield and take swap. The game's not over though. Even if I lose switch advantage, as long as I can get an energy advantage on Bibarel, Surf will very easily KO the Golurk. Aerial Ace is going to land, doing some pretty solid damage. The Ferrothorn, they are on Thunder. They end up aggressively switching out into a Sucker Punch Cacturn. Oh my goodness. And I'm firing off the Aerial Ace. They're going to commit the shield, and I need a perfect undercharge here. I need to put this into 4 rollout range, and I think I may have done it. We'll have to see how much damage that first rollout does as they go for the Trailblaze, and it's perfect. It's 4 rollout range, and that is a game-winning undercharge. In comes the Ferrothorn. I get the back-to-back surfs, and the Golurk does not have a dynamic punch loaded. They only left with 30 energy, so despite completely throwing in the mid-game with a perfect undercharge, we're able to fight back and still get the win. Moving to the next match, Superior versus Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff typically going to have some kind of ground type in the back, so I will want to switch out of this matchup at some point. Every Wigglytuff player likes to shield the first, so this is a very safe Aerial Ace bait, and then you can go for the Frenzy Plant and you get there before they make the Icy Wind. And now you can just save switch into the Bibarel after dealing some pretty massive damage. They fire off energy, that's even better. I am very, very happy with that. They're going to go for the Swift, and out comes Gastrodon. Baiting this out is massive. Now, the most typical team is going to be Wigglytuff Driftblim Gastrodon, and if that's the case, then Morpeko is just winning for me. They go for the Body Slam. I decide to commit the shield here. I don't have to shield. I could have let it go and farm with Superior, but I decided that I would rather keep the health on the Superior just in case I need it for later in the game. So Bibarel, oh no, I'm now met with a Diggersby, and they have double ground in the back, so unfortunately this game is just going to be a loss. There are some teams where people are running triple Morpeko counters, which is fair. Some people really do not want to get swept by the very angry mouse, and I cannot blame them. Morpeko is very strong. So I kept this battle in, more so just to show that sometimes you will run into teams where Morpeko has very little play. And in this instance, my only hope is a Scorching Sands catch, but my opponent, their correct play is just to never throw the Scorching Sands. They should just keep farming. I have to try for the catch, and once I fail the catch, there's just no way to win, so as long as they just never throw their move, I can never catch it. Moving to the next match, Superior into Gastrodon, unbelievably good lead, and they're staying in. Oh no. They're now going to save switch into a Licky Licky, and I throw on alignment. Absolutely terrible timing. As you can see, these battles were done at midnight, so I'm going to blame any throws on my part based on the fact that I was a little bit tired and not the fact that I might be washed. This kind of team I have seen quite a bit. Water plus a normal type rollout user, and it's so gratifying to get to punish them with Superior, because Superior just completely destroys any water plus rollout team. So actually having Superior on the lead to get to cook this team just warms my heart. Incredible stuff. They're going to land the Body Slam. They're going to bring out the Gastrodon. Gastrodon is going to lose the charge attack priority tied to Bibarel. Hyper Fang lands, massive damage onto that Gastrodon. Gastrodon Body Slam will pick up the KO, but I can bring back in Superior. Superior is going to get a nice farm down. Opponent sends back out the Licky Licky. Licky Licky going to be hit with the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is going to deliver the knockout. In the back is Feraligatr. Oh my goodness. This person is triple weak to Superior, and I have the Superior, so it's just a very easy win. And in matchups like these, you can really see the Thunder Shock difference. Like, look at those Thunder Shocks. Even after I lower the defense by -1, Thunder Shock actually looks terrifying here. And at this point, just to be petty, I do go for the CFP tie here with the Psychic Fangs. Opponent very much wanting to play it out. And you know what? If they want to play it out, I will let them. But that's why you can't run a team like that. You can't just be triple weak to Superior, because that will have consequences. Hopping into the final match, Superior versus Annihilate. And Annihilate is staying in. Catching the Annihilate on the lead is very, very nice. as of course my backline is double weak to counter. Frenzy Plant is going to land, and that does massive damage. Frenzy Plant is the more efficient move to go for here when it comes to Annihilate, as it does do more damage overall. They go for the Ice Punch. I'm able to pick up a shield. In the back, they have an Air Slash Tropius, and Tropius, I'm just going to go for some chip with an Aerial Ace, and then the safe switch to Bibarel. Leaf Blade will hit for super effective damage, but that's fine. I just need to check and see if there's something in the back that my Morpeko is unable to handle. So I overfarm here, playing to the CMP type versus the Tropius, forcing the shield. The rollouts have already done a ton of damage, and from here, I should just be able to sweep with Morpeko, basically no matter what's in the back, as they didn't switch out of the Tropius Bibarel matchup. So now I can bring in Morpeko. I'm going to overfarm and play to the CMP tide. It's a little bit risky. They could potentially sneak through a free Air Slash, but I was expecting them just to throw instantly. Aura Wheel KOs, and it's for Alligator in the back, so this game is over. I get to fire off a boosted Aura Wheel. There's just no way for my opponent to win at this point. My attack is now +2, and watch the Thunder Shocks right here. Look at those Thunder Shocks. Thunder Shock has never done so much damage. Oh my goodness. And here I go for the Aura Wheel, and I'm still not quite sure what happened. I don't think I tapped it too late, so maybe it was just a lag spike or something. The good news is I'm still going to be able to get the win, but I really wanted that overkill +2 Aura Wheel, and the game apparently decided that was far too much bullying on my part, so they just did not let me have that move. All in all, I was a huge fan of Morpeko last season. Basically from the start, I've been saying this Pokemon is amazing. Use it and you will be able to stack up some serious wins, and my goodness, it's only stronger this season. The extra Thundershock damage really feels noticeable in quite a few matchups. I believe you can almost flip the Dunsparce matchup now as well. And that, of course, is still assuming that they are going to be no shield in the first, since the first will do the least amount of damage. But it's just unreal what this Pokemon can do. And I really like the way that they're balancing it. They're picking something to be extremely strong, but in doing so, they've picked a Pokemon that is very frail. Morpeko has basically no bulk, and that's what helps it feel balanced. Is if you have any kind of fast move pressure, you can just completely farm down Morpeko, but if you don't, that's when Morpeko can shine. It's a little bit like how they decided to balance Greninja. Greninja, they gave Water Shuriken an incredibly broken fast move because it's so frail that it can be very strong, but it'll never feel too much just because it is very susceptible to fast move pressure. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.